Walk on, babe. Come on. Trot, babe. So we're coming down into Andover now. A lot of people will recognise this from watching the films, you know, where we're at. So this road can be quite busy. You know, like there's a truck coming up here now, for instance, because up the other side, you know, behind us, there's a couple of smallish industrial estates that are just outside the town. Probably the only ones there are, actually. It's a couple up that way. And also it's a cut through to a major road. It's a pretty straight run. And there's big watercress beds down there, growing watercress. I mean big industrial ones. So like Vitacriss and that are down there. So you get a lot of trucks up here. And another day it can be really quiet. You know, it'll be the same day of the week, but it's quiet, just the way it goes. But this pony is, Jake, he's really nice pony. He's been laid off for a while, so they just sent him back. Or, well, he was sold to somebody, then he was laid off, and then they asked me to have him just to bring him back into work. But he's a lovely, lovely pony, nice pony. He's not a showy pony, he hasn't got any step about him, he's not anything particular, but a good family pony. You know, he'd carry weight, definitely, without any question. You know, if you want to ride him as well, he would definitely carry weight. He's the strongest. That's a lovely thing just happened there. Probably would be able to look back on the film and see that there was a canister or something, some round black plastic tube, small thing, laying on in the chevrons there, and a car's just gone over it and it's made quite a noise. But although it startled him, he's not reacted and run off up the road or anything, or even attempted to. He's only got a rubber bit in, but then that's nothing new, is it? We always drive in rubber bits. Whatever we're driving, you know, whether they've been in an accident, whether they're runaways, stallions, youngsters, or everyone that comes, always drive them in a rubber bit. You know, my reasoning behind that is you're not inflicting any pain on their mouths with a rubber bit, or, you know, I mean, it would be very hard to do so with a rubber bit. It certainly wouldn't be with a metal one. So my philosophy is, if they'll go in a rubber one, they've got to be listening to you and doing what you're asking them to do. And you just build their confidence up slowly, and eventually, you know, you get to a place where they do any, well, they would do anything for you. The horses are just that way, you know. If they can do something, they, you know, as long as you can't generalise with horses. I've learnt that over the years. But like this big truck coming up here now, you know, well, he's a big old truck. I'll drop the reins loose there like that, and the horse goes straight by. Me dropping the reins loose behind him, it goes straight by, no trouble at all. Come on, baby. Yeah, you've got to ask them, because the day you force them to do something, it's no good. How I try and explain it is one fear for another. So if they're frightened to walk over, I don't know, something in the arena, they don't want to walk over a painted board or anything like that. So what they do, come on, babe, is they plant, refuse. That's no good. You don't even want to get to the you know, to that bit where they plant. You don't want to do that. What you want to do before that, if you can read one, you can gauge when that's coming. It takes a long time to learn to read horse, or it's certainly taken me a long time. I'd like another lifetime to get it right, that's definite. But come on, my baby, he's a good boy. So to read one, if you can read one, then you can preempt what they're thinking, how they're going. And if you can do that, then that's a massive help to you when you're training, isn't it, obviously. but that comes with experience, and it's not something you can teach, because the body language, and I haven't said this before, I don't think, but the body language on a horse are very similar, but they're not exactly the same, not by any means. You know, they're not exactly the same by any means at all. So I'm just going to walk up here. Big old truck coming there, see? And another one coming down here. This is a funny old thing, this bridge. Now you say, what were... Look, horses don't like going under bridges, particular. And that's quite funny, really. So they don't like going under them, because, you know, you'd wonder why, wouldn't you, really? Got a big old tractor coming down here with a load of straw on, or hay on, might be, isn't it? Yeah, hay. Looks like a nice bit of hay. But yeah, these bridges here, this one here is quite weird looking. It's got some figures on it, you know, welded up and made to look like people crossing the bridge. Not that that plays a great deal of part in it, they just don't like something going under something, most horses. And big old truck there going. But what you'll get is people walking over it. That's when they get a bit excited. They can't, because the person walking up the side of them, on the, you know, down on the same level, that's fine. But when they're going over the top of them, they do like, it's like when we stand on the motorway bridge, isn't it, or on the over the top of the dual carriageway, and they hang their heads over. You know, we're not forcing them to do that. It just comes with time. And the more confidence they get in doing anything. And when you get their confidence, the first time you get that tiny little, there, look there, for instance, someone walking over now. So, you know, and she's going to have a look. And a wave. And the dog's having a look. So, as I say, you know, it's, walk up, my darling, you're a good boy. So, nice person there. They, you know, people are very kind on the road, really. I never have any trouble with anybody. Very, very seldom get tooted or abuse in any way. But I blend with the traffic. And you can blend with the traffic if your horse is confident. Safe, confident and happy. And if they do this up this road in a rubber bit, and they all go in it, it's not this horse particularly, every single horse I drive on one of the films people seem to be quite like, is two stallions with a mare between them. I think it's called Stallions and Mare, the film's called. And we drive them, and the mare's heavily in season between two stallions, but they've all only got rubber bits in. And they don't talk to her at all, they don't address her, they don't argue, they don't do anything, because they've been trained properly. And I'm not saying that other people don't train, you know, can't say that, that's crazy. There's plenty of horses out there that are doing perfectly well without my help, you know, that have made a good job of the horses. The problem is you don't hear of the ones that, you know, don't make it. I can honestly say with my hand on my heart, I've never had a horse in the yard that I haven't been able to put in harness and drive. I've had two horses, or ponies actually, two ponies that absolutely hated it. They done it, and I could do all the things I'm doing now, but they hated being driven. So if horse could smile, put it that way, when you took them out of the cart and the harness off, they were perfectly happy. We had a little Smoky Joe, which belongs to a dear friend, a lovely person, lovely, lovely girl. And she got three of them all together, and she got a Smoky Joe, and he'd come over to be broke, and he would kick the cart. He would kick the cart, on the shaft. See this lorry here, quite close, you know, that's fine. Yeah, he just kicked the shaft, so he would stand there, not running away, not doing anything, but when you got off the cart, or prior to getting on it, he would kick the shaft, and then he'd change legs and kick the other shaft, the other side, and keep kicking it. When you took it off, lovely, you could put a child behind him, he wouldn't kick the child, not for anything. Dog wouldn't kick it, wouldn't think of kicking it. All he was saying, get it off, I don't like it. Obviously we had his back checked, done all the things you'd usually do, couldn't find anything at all, but he hated it. And another pony like that just was never happy. Done it, but didn't enjoy it. Was miserable doing it. And that's no good. You know, all she's got to be safe, confident and happy. If it's not them things, it's a waste of time. You know, what you're doing's no good, is it? And that's what I try and do. Unfortunately, people say, you know, look, fortunately, I've been able to make it, you know, do it my way. I would never say anyone else is wrong, never in a million years. Everybody do their own thing. I'm not telling anybody who listens to this film to do what I'm doing, because it takes a lot of experience to get to this stage. I'm getting on in years now, but I'd like another lifetime to get it right. I mean, I really would. Because there's so many more things we don't understand about horses. We think we do, we don't. Definitely don't. There's some things they do that amaze me, absolutely amaze me. And I've had a lot of experience, obviously. I mean, even like last week, it wasn't a busy week as far as doing miles. It was more short trips, learning, you know, lots of that going on last week. But we'd still done over 200 mile in a week. We have done as much as nearly 300 odd, 360. Trot, baby, come up, trot. So I'm bringing him over now to here. Bringing him over now to here. Go on, babe, up you go. Go on. Up you go, good boy. Now this is a lovely, lovely thing coming here. I mean, people wouldn't think it was lovely, but we got a big mixer coming here, you know, concrete mixer. Come out of the batching plant. So I'm going to walk him, because when this is going round, you might not be able to hear it, but it's not moving. Oh yeah, it is moving slowly. He must be just empty and washed completely out, because sometimes they keep them turning, going back to the batching plant to get another load, and all the stones inside make a deafening noise. You know, you don't hear it in a motor car so much as you do here. You know, we've got nothing round us at all, have we? You know, just sitting on top of this carriage. When I'm talking on these videos, sometimes I've got to concentrate on them. The first and foremost thing I'm here for is to get this horse the best I possibly can out of this pony, or any horse I do. So I'm concentrating on the pony, looking, reading its body language, making sure it's perfectly happy, everything's all right, reassuring it, not necessarily with a word, but with a little touch of the rein, or a little, you know, just nice gentle contact with its mouth, rather than pull its head off. You see this here, like big old truck. And people say to me, you're crazy. You're crazy driving in a rubber bit. Well, I think there's 1,000 films on YouTube. They're all in rubber bits. There might be some very, very rare exceptions, and they would be very, very rare. One in 100, where people have said, please, can you put this bit in it? You know, you know, I want this bit. So what we do, we break them in rubber bits, and then at the end of it, we'll swap over to a metal one. So you will see some with shanks on, but you'll see also this is just a snaffle, a loose ring snaffle, so it's not fixed in any way. So you can apply no pressure whatsoever, only on the, you know, on the horse's bar. And the bits are quite, we don't have, when we manufacture our own, which we do, or we have our own, I should say, I designed one and had it manufactured. The problem is with it is they are so expensive. I mean, serious lot of money just for one bit, because the moulds cost thousands of pounds, a massive amount of money. So when the moulds cost a lot of money, and when you've got a variety of bits size-wise, and I don't sell them. I know people want me to, and the reason I don't sell them is they think that then if they get one of my bits, they're going to be able to do what I can do. I'd love to think that was true, but obviously if you think about it, it's not true. And I know a lot of people that are quite well known around the world that they sell halters and long ropes and head collars and all this, and people believe they'll get them and they can do what that particular person does. Personally, myself, I won't do that. I could sell, I don't know, a lot of bits. I think I could sell 500, 600, well, 1,000, I should think, in the first week, you know, if I sold them. You're asked all the time. But it wouldn't be a, you know, a panacea. It's not going to cure every ill or make every horse. What's it? They do when I'm driving them, because that's all I use. But you've got to train them to it to a certain extent. Now people will say, well, make a video on how you do that. Well, you've got to make several videos, and for the different types of horses, and people have got to understand what, you know, how I see the horse is different to what you will. I mean, I have people come to me all the time and say, oh, my horse has got a problem. And really, the cause of its behaviour is not what they think. And sometimes way different. Sometimes, you know, like nothing to do with it. They say it does that because it doesn't. In so many cases, I would say majority of cases. You know, he's throwing his head up, he's hangs on a bit, I've got to do this or I've got to do that, or he doesn't like this or he don't like that. Well, when they don't like it, that's basic training, because horse will do anything for you. If he understands and you give him the tools to work with, he will do anything at all for you. I mean, if you think about horse, really, they're so easily abused because they're so obliging. And what do I mean by that? Well, I was out up in Canada teaching, and I went out with a fella on a trail drive, a very experienced man with horse, and we went up, and we were talking about this very same thing. He said that horses will just keep doing what you ask them to do. And you know, if you ask them to climb up a hill, up a road, up a hill, they would do it. They just keep climbing up and up and up. And you'd have to think to yourself, see this rattly trailer coming by, no reaction at all. These GoPros are not very good for picking up sound. If you were sitting here, it makes quite a crashing noise as it goes by. And these big lorries, and some of them with tarpaulins on that flap around. Steady, baby. Anyway, another big truck coming now. You see, that's quite noisy, that truck. This one is here. You know, loads of car bits on it, you know, rattles as it comes by. And that's what we're doing, aren't we? We're trying to build up the confidence of the horse. I've lost my train of thought now. I don't know what I was talking about, because you've got to concentrate. Got to concentrate on that. Could be dementia as well, you know, I don't know. And this job, you can't, you know, like in the summertime I'll start at 5 o'clock. So I'll go out and, you know, to the stables. All the stables are inside a building, like in America they call it a barn, you know, like a... So, there's a baby, come on. Oh yeah, I know what I was talking about, that fella. Horse will go up a hill, you know, this pony here would be, like, I can't give you a percentage, but a massive percentage of horses would do it. This would go uphill, and that would keep pulling. Well, it don't actually pull a cart, does it? It pushes a collar, which in turn pulls the cart. And that would lay its weight on that collar and push on and on and on and on until it fell to its knees, and then the dear thing would get up and try and do it again for you. And its knees could be bleeding and it would still get up and do it for you. So when we was going up in this, we crossed a river 7 times, I believe, a massive river, and we seriously climbed over boulders with these pair of horses, and he went up to a cabin right up the top, and you could look down. We was up very, very high, and when you looked down in the valley and saw someone riding a horse or something like that down there, looked like a little ant, you know. That's how high we was. And they climbed over boulders, and it was like they had a special vehicle with great big balloon tyres. I mean, big tyres on it. Not very tall, but great big, almost round, you know, both ways, and the tyres on it, for going over these boulders in the river. And they, you know, I mean, serious. You would never think the horse could get over it. But these 2 boys went up there, and he was saying to me, he said, the problem is, he said, a lot of people, you've got to pace it for them. You know, they don't know how far to go, do they? This horse don't know how far we're going today. Got no idea. So I've got to make the pace so I know he can do it with comfort, with a walk and a trot, you know, and an extended trot, a steady trot, you know, a working trot. You've got to do that, and then just let him have a walk. So you've got to understand what to do, you know, and how to do it with the horse. And all these things have to be learned. And then what no one seems to understand is each horse is an individual. But my old mate's just going along here lovely, enjoying himself, perfectly happy and relaxed, not fazed by anything. Now he'd far sooner be on this grass verge here eating the grass, wouldn't he? Than ever he would pull this cart. Of course he would. I mean, common sense, isn't it? He'd think, I'd love that. But at the same time, he's not unhappy. His tail's got a bit of movement in it. He's got a very thick, heavy tail, this horse. Very, very thick. The thickest I've ever seen on a horse. I know you say, well, I've seen bigger tail, wider, but I mean the actual density of the hair, the way it grows, the follicles are really tight together. When you try and part it and look at, you know, when you clean them and like that. So all this rubbish along the side of the road, which is a sad thing to see, in it, you know, when people chuck out crap from motor cars, it's just silly. I mean, that's blown off a lorry there, that bit of plastic, that happens. But he'd take no notice. Another horse would look at that and jump across the road. And it's because he's got confidence in me and what I'm asking him to do, and I ain't telling him to do, and I'm not forcing him to do. Just confidence in me that I ain't going to hurt him or put him in a situation that he don't like. I suppose that's not true, because I put him in lots of situations they don't like, but they don't like it to start with, and I'll get them used to it, and I'll get them to accept it, and I'll get them to be happy in that situation. It takes us 6 weeks to train a horse. That's an average. Sometimes goes over, very seldom goes under, but very seldom goes over, really. Once you've got to know the horse in the first couple of days and know how to go about it, and people say, why don't you write a book? I've been offered quite a lot of money by a chap in America, offered me a lot of money, actually, a great deal of money, to write a book on training horse. And I said, you can't do it. Any book you see on horse, and they tell you how to do it, how to break one, it's just no good. It's no good at all, because they never tell you what to do when it goes wrong. Never tell you what to do when it goes wrong. All they ever say is, if you question it or say anything, they say, well, you never done it right. You didn't do it as I told you to do it. Well, if they're all individuals, one size don't fit all, does it? It's common sense. It's not. It just don't, like, people learn different. When you've got a classroom full of children, any teacher will tell you they'll learn at different, and they learn different ways. Someone's got to have hands on. When they've got an hands-on thing, they're fine. So this is what I do. Like, I just come off the road into this long lay-by and let the cars go past. Not that it's very busy today. And people say, oh, I could never do that. How'd you get out? Well, where'd you get out in your car? You just drift out slowly when there's a gap, don't you? So that's what I'm doing now. So I'm not impeding anybody behind me. I'm coming out real slow. So that fella could go past still safely on each side of the road. Exactly like he'd overtake you, wouldn't he? If you had it in a motor car. The fella behind there is slowed right up. And he'll come by when he's ready, when he's comfortable. There he goes, he's a van a little bit bigger. So that's it. People say, oh, that lorry driver let the air brakes off. That's not the case. He can't let the air brakes off. He can make a noise when he puts his foot on the brake, but sometimes when the air builds up, they have an exhaust system on them. There was one just then. Now, that weren't the fella touching the brakes. That was just the chambers full, and it just goes, like that, right behind this horse. So it's not lorry drivers. They got enough on their plate, controlling a great big load and a massive great thing on these roads. When I go to America, I go out there teaching quite a bit in Canada. The roads are incredible. They're certainly like a grid form. They're pretty straight. They certainly are, they're very straight. But they're also wide. And they have these massive great lorries out there. And I was driving a pair of horses up like what we'd call a dual carriageway. Not a freeway, I don't know what they call it. But anyway, and we was going along there, and they was really nice, the folk, I never said. But we didn't hold them up. We kept over this side in this lane. And whenever we could, we'd, if there was anywhere where we could pull over, we'd let them go by. But most people, because it was dual carriageway, like this here, for instance, right? Anyone can come by me. If they're going up this London road here, well, they'll come behind me. I've got, I believe in lights on a vehicle. I know people say you've got to have IVs, and we do have IVs on the back. But we have a flashing light going, which is quite a big, powerful light, and we got brake lights and indicators. So obviously that makes a massive difference, and I think motor cars can relate to that better than the old-fashioned hand signals. You know, I don't think anyone would know what they were these days. And rightly so, times move on. I'm not saying, you know, but people don't know. Older drivers would know what you mean, but younger drivers not necessarily. So my little fella's going down here quite happily. And this will come into one lane. Trot, baby. So I'm going to trot him now. This is a prime example of what I mean. Trot him, babe. Go on, up you go. So I don't hold up this traffic, they can still overtake me now, can you see? If they want to, they can come past now. But it's going into a single lane. So I want to get these cars coming past that I can. You know, I'll let them make the decision whether they're coming, but I'll keep over enough. And I'll still allow myself a little bit of space before I hit the curb. Yeah? Which obviously that wouldn't be any good, would it, to do that? So, and the policemen, you know, the police in general are lovely. You know, I had a puncher one day, and you know, it wasn't fair to let the horse take it home. I mean, obviously they could do because the wheel's still round, although you got a puncher. But it would be, we was a long way from home and and a policeman come behind me, lovely, a young lady and a fella, they come behind me and put some cones out round it, round my vehicle and up the road and warned people. And fortunately I phoned my mate up and he come and mended it. But there we were, and they left their cones there, and as we was finishing they come round, there's obviously, you know, patrolling the town and local area, and then they come round and collected it. Wasn't that nice? Lovely. Real nice. But people in general, I mean, you're riding along with me here, you don't hear people tooting or cursing or anything like that. Cussing, as they say in the States. Don't hear any of that. You know, it's just, we're going along, we're not really slowing anybody up. We keep over here. I can come back to a walk now. Steady, baby. Steady, darling. So my horse is seeing all the traffic it needs to see. I mean, obviously, if you trot round the town, he's not going to see anywhere near as much as he would if you're walking.